Our second match today, Steve Iavarone facing off against Barry Egolf. Steve second seeded in this ladder of 13 as we continue to climb toward the top. Nemo Lingerman Jr. waiting in the wings. He is certain that he'll be in the championship match, and one of these two men will join him. Barry Egolf, who has just dispatched Peter Pierce.
And pretty impressive his last 3 frames. Striking the 8th, striking the 9th, striking the 10th. And here he broke 9.
Looking to try to do the same thing to Steve Iavarone.
Boy, we had a good shot of that one, Mike. He cut that off at the bottom.
Here's laid it out again and was fine. And now a good look at Steve Iavarone. Qualified with a score of 15-17. Went 5-0 in head-to-head competition. 814 pin fall.
Not too happy with that delivery.
Just set a new 9-game world record of 15:35.
He did that when he won the Cheshire Men's Open in 1988, Mike. I happened to be there when he did it. Well, I'm wrong. He did it there. And then he did it where he did it here, but I'm forgetting what it was in.
As so many of our other pro bowlers, Steve, a avid golfer.
Strong ball, real strong ball. Another bowler that if you watch, you can see that the first motion is to get that arm extended, pushed out in front of you and locked up so that you can swing it.
Picks up the spare.
Yeah, he has held the last 2 9-game world records. He did it in '88 at Cheshire Lanes at the Men's Open. And then he set it here in 1989, 15:35.
Also has the Pro Tour single game record of 257. It was set back in 1984 at Fontana Bowl. And if I'm not mistaken, Joe, wasn't there some kind of a bonus prize if somebody had set the world record during the course of the tournament?
Exactly, and he was 1 pin away. I mean, not 1 pin in his score, but he had 1 pin stayed up. Had it fallen, it would have given him, I think, 7 strikes in a row, and he'd have been in position to break the world record. And I think it was, what you say, $10,000.
I don't remember what the figure was, but I remember there was an associated bonus there.
It was pretty exciting. One of the few times that we've had that available, and then to shoot 257 with that sitting on the line. Whew. And the place was buzzing.
I bet you it was. 20 pins for Barry Egolf after 2. Steve Iavarone open in the first, spare in the second.
Barry's gotten a little out of sync here, as we watched him do before. Not getting the real smooth stroke again. There he did. And he made the spare.
Pretty uncanny on how you can watch the delivery, and based on how well somebody releases the ball, it almost predicts the results, unless obviously they get a bad break down the other end.
Well, Mike, we've watched a lot of them together, and you really can't help but see it. You know, it's something that's magnified. It just stands out.
Ripped through the middle. Powerful, though.
Yeah, it cracked. That was a good ball, just a little off target, a little too sharp. Maybe a little overthrown, didn't have time to work. The ball has to go into a roll, Mike, and if you overthrow it for the amount of snap that you put on it, it doesn't get into the roll.
10 more. 34-30 with a ball to count yet for Barry Egolf.
Lead's about to switch hands when Barry counts on his mark. And when I talk of the revolutions, that is what throws the pin sideways. And when you turn that duck pin sideways, it's 9 inches. When it's standing, it's only 4. So the guy that moves the most pins and turns them, transfers that English from the ball to the pin, He's throwing at 10 of them just like everyone else, but when you get them sideways, it looks like there's 20 of them down there.
Steve Iavarone, difficult shot here.
Well done. 1-3-7. 3-pin off the wall. See, if you can put enough on the ball to turn that head pin so it doesn't fit between the 2 and 3, then you're not going to rip. But if you drive it through or push it through, then it fits, and you're going to have the 2 and 3. And there you see. When he hits stroke, it's night and day, and it is with everyone. And here you see he hit the stroke, got the pin action. You don't have to be quite as accurate. You don't aim the ball. You freewheel it, and they can fool us, Mike, but you can't fool the pins. They'll catch you every time you throw a bad or deliver the ball wrong.
Both bowlers with marks in the 4th. Barry Egolf, of course, working on this strike.
A little pull. Relatively easy shot if you just put it on one side or the other of the head pin. A little tough luck. He was on it a little full and got the 1-3-6, shooting at the 4 for 10. You want to hold your pins.
No, he's got it. 69 after 5. Here's Steve Iavarone.
Well, what you look at when you're bowling head-to-head is that he just went spare strike, left and open. Steve's had trouble, but if Steve counts and marks, he can take the lead.
Let's see what happens. Iavarone.
That's a quick 8. Yeah, that's the psychological part of the head-to-head bowling and bowling the 2 frames. If I don't know what would happen, I think the psychological part of it wouldn't have its effect if you were bowling 1 frame at a time. Because you look that frame ahead that that bowler's bowled, which is bad. You don't want to bowl, but you look, oh my, I'm behind, and he has a mark. So you start playing the head game, and when you play the head game with these pins, you're going to lose.
7-pin advantage for Barry Egolf. Both bowlers open framed in the 5th.
No one's been able to take off. 2 marks in a row is the best we've done. Steve has marked on the left lane the only 2 times he has bowled there, but he hasn't marked on the right-hand lane. There he pulled the ball again.
Well, one of these days, Joe, we're going to get these 2 guys obviously as hot as anybody this morning. Steve with a 206 in qualifying. Barry Egolf 228. And here, neither one has been able to find the track to get on the board.
I'll tell you one thing, with the 9 and 71 for Steve in the 6th frame, perfect opportunity right here for Barry Egolf. You want to go spare strikes. You want 2 marks up. You sure do. Because then you're stretching it out. You're getting into the 20s. The teens he can erase. A couple good. Oh my. You see Steve bury his head. Having experienced that, you'll see what happens here. He has the 1-2-4. The pin comes out of the corner and
drops from nowhere and knocks them all down.
Well, at that point, you feel like you're bowling a little more than just Barry Egolf. And you're having enough trouble with just Barry Egolf.
We'll take a timeout and be back to finish this match between Steve Iavarone and Barry Egolf right after these messages. Here's Barry Egolf ready to bowl frame number 7.
Come on, Greg, slide over there. I see the shot. Never go.
5-10. Still counting on his strike. A little left. 1 pin was big, Mike. You're counting double, and you're counting if he hits 1 and 1. Well, he got 10 out, but he gave him 97.
97 after 7, and so he is starting to widen the gap on Steve Iavarone. See what Steve retaliates with here in the 7th and 8th frames.
2 marks, and he's back in the lead. He's actually would put himself in the position to take the lead. I tell you, in all honesty, is a little overthrown, Mike. A little harder than Steve Iavarone has to throw it. He also has had trouble hitting that nice rhythm and making things happen. And I think what happens is you start trying to knock things down. Yeah. When you start trying to knock them down, you overthrow and you just lose it. No pin action, as you see.
16 pin advantage for Barry Egolf after 7 complete frames. Move into the 8th.
16 pin lead. He's sort of proving what we've spoken about many times, that it really isn't the speed that knocks the pins down.
And then you see Steve is a little bit frustrated at the results here.
Well, he's running out of frames. Barry has to feel very fortunate if you look back, and it's what makes a winner. You need a few things to go your way. You can't go out, even as Peter Pierce or Swede Labers or Steve Iavarone, and shoot 180s after 180s, or that would be your average, and nobody averages that in duck pins.
You need 91 after 8.
You need to have 86 in the 7th frame and be 14 pins ahead of Peter Pierce instead of 40 behind. He's really having trouble. A little quick, has his arm out a little bit. Steve with 2 frames left. There you go. That was a big shot, Mike. Real big shot, not only for the confidence, but it gave him 107 plus and a 16-pin lead plus this count. Of course, now this is the big ball.
I'll tell you, we'll look back on this match. That strike in the 6th, and now the spare here in the 8th. Big marks in the match.
Now you want to get 9 or 10 out of here, because what it's done, if Barry just 10s out, it gives him 132. Well, for Steve to shoot more than 132, he's going to have to throw a double. Spare strike spare would give him 131, and that won't do it. But he's left a pin, so another one of these situations where is the stage being set. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, big frame for Steve Iavarone. He has got to get something started right now. There is no more time left. Big crowd on hand here at Town Hall Lane, starting to gather in anticipation of the championship match, semifinals, if you will, here between Egolf and Iavarone.
Okay, you're a little disappointed. You needed a strike, but what he needs to do is hit this single so that he can still throw the double in the 10th to put Barry on a mark.
Concentration, he's got it.
And I'll tell you, at that point, marks are a little tough to come by when you hear the pitter-patter of feet and you know you've let something slip away from you.
No, so you've always said it's tough enough to mark. It's even tougher when you know that you have to do it.
Well, and you know, when you're running a race and you're in front of a guy, when you stop to look back, you get in a little bit of trouble.
Well, here's Steve Iavarone bowling in the 10th frame.
Needs a strike.
Well, how about it? Let's take a look again at Steve Iavarone's strike in the 10th.
There you see what happened, and that was very close to being a doubleheader. It's a big ball. If he just spares, Barry has to mark to beat him. 10 is hard to beat. And I'll tell you what, I'd give you a penny for Barry Egolf's thoughts right now. He's replaying this game. His concentration's a little scattered. He's trying to get it back together. He has 1 frame to bowl.
Steve Iavarone.
All right, the pin is big. 10 is tough. When you need 10, it is tough. He can leave a split. He can chop. You know, as the guy that's bowling is thinking, boy, I wish I was in his position. And that's true. You do. Until he chops or until he splits and you got 2 balls left and 2 pins to hit.
1.
Big pin. Real big pin.
Okay.
Now how can a 130 game be exciting? We got an exciting match, Mike.
Let's see what happens.
He needs 10. Let's
Barry
watch.
steps in, looking for his second consecutive Pro Tour victory. Needs it here. Well, let's take a look again as he made it academic. Didn't want to throw more than one ball in the 10th frame.
Fate. Fate, fate. And Barry will be the first to tell you that's a victory that maybe I didn't deserve. I'll take it.
Well, there's your chop, Joe. One ball earlier, and
It happened in the right order, didn't it?
he would have really been in deep trouble.
And that was a better delivered ball than the other one. 140, Mike.
All right, 140, 130. Barry Egolf defeats Steve Iavarone. He'll be facing off against our top seed, Nemo Lingerman Jr., and he'll be looking to make it 2 in a row on